Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Lori Smith, and this is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another Restoration. We're on for 30 minutes this morning, and it's Wednesday, August 3rd, 2016. Glad to be here. I like doing these shows. This show holds me accountable. That's why I'm doing this show in my own healing journey, because there's many things that I sort of put off and sort of put to the side, don't work on. And I thought, well, I need to get back on it. I need to continue to work towards healing, towards wholeness. And there's many things that I need to work on. And so I thought, well, I'll just share what I'm finding is helpful for me, in my journey. So welcome to the show. I'm not a counselor or anything like that. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a survivor of child abuse in just about really every form you can think of. I'm just turned 50, be 51 here pretty soon, and never thought I'd live this long. And so, I'm now 8 years into, almost 9 years in, really into my healing journey, and made a lot of progress. And so I'm safe to do this show. I'm not going to self-injure or anything like that, or it's not going to cause me to go backward in my healing journey doing this show, and this type of information does not trigger me. So you have to make sure, if you're a survivor of abuse, that you're not going to be triggered listening to anything that I do. And so to any of my shows, except for mainly my biblical counseling, my biblical type shows that I do. So those are fine. But anything I'm talking about child abuse or, adult survivor information, you have to make sure that you're in a safe enough place to listen to something like that. So I would ask that you think about it carefully before you listen to my stuff, and make sure it's not going to trigger you and not going to send you backward in your healing journey. And, because you want to keep yourself safe and you want to keep yourself moving forward on your healing journey. So if you think it might bother you if you're a survivor of abuse and things trigger you, you might just don't, it might be better for you not to listen, because I do talk very openly about abuse, and I don't sugarcoat it. I just tell it like it is. And so you want to make sure you're in a safe enough place to listen, right? So we'll get into this. We yesterday, I was kind of, because I'm doing this as my healing journey, right? And I'm just hoping that some of the information that I'm looking at will be helpful for other people. And that, someone who just starting out on your healing journey, you got to be careful what you're listening to. But other people who've been on their healing journeys for a while will probably relate to a lot of the things that I'm talking about. I'm doing a lot better than I used to be when I first started my healing journey, and feeling a lot better. But I thought what I'd do in this show, like we did yesterday and the day before, this is just the third show we're doing, is look at these different things, for instance, morning reflection. How am I doing on my healing journey? How are we doing on our healing journey? Are there any particular things that we need to work on? And how are we failing? And because where most people are busy, and, life sort of gets in the way, right? And I haven't been doing a whole lot of work to on any of my healing journey stuff for the last few years. Like I said in my previous shows here, I've just been working and concentrating on working and other things. And my husband's health is an issue. He's terminally ill. And so my stuff got put to the side. And I was making progress in it, and I thought, I need to get back to it. And I need to see how I'm doing. So first of all, I thought we'd take a morning, just a morning reflection. A person can just think about, what area do I need to work on? How am I feeling? Am I feeling, first of all, safe enough to listen to this show or to do this show? And yes, I am. If you're not, it's a good idea to take a look at a safety checklist, and there is a really good one in the ASCA, Adult Survivors of Child Abuse, Survivor to Thriver Manual. They have a huge section. I think the first 40 pages, or I can't remember now, 30 pages or something, is devoted to safety first, right? Safety checklists. So that's the ASCA Morris Center ASCA Survivor to Thriver Manual. And I used that for many years, going back probably about 3 years, looking at it, looking through it, going through it, just page by page. And so there's a great safety first checklist there. So you can grab that Survivor to Thriver Manual is free. You can grab it. It's a download, PDF download, or you can just read it right online. And that's a good Survivor to Thriver Manual. That's a really good manual for survivors of abuse. I already went through all of that a long time ago on my blog talk shows here. And if you go to my website, it's Born in Hell website. I just created it. I've actually been working on it since May. You can see all my shows that I did here, these 1,103 shows now here on Blog Talk Radio. They're all listed there with the show topics. So one child abuse survivor to another. It's all listed there. All the shows that I did with the show topics, so that you can see that I was progressing in an order, in a particular order. I wasn't just talking about one thing here and one thing there. I would work for weeks on a particular subject like anger management, because I had a lot of anger and rage when I first started my healing journey. Actually, made it for my whole life. Suppressed anger, and it was killing me. It was eating me up, and so I did a whole lot of work on anger management, stuff like that. So you can go through and check all that out. It's author Lori Ann Smith dash or hyphen Tornerup, TORNERUP.weebly.com, or you can grab it from my website, from my webpage here, or just type in Born in Hell Lori Smith or something. It should come up. So anyway, how am I doing this morning? Well, I woke up. I actually feel a little better than I did yesterday. I woke up a little earlier than I needed to, but I feel a little better emotionally and spiritually than I did even yesterday. So that's a nice thing. We can always see how we're feeling. A lot of times we don't ask ourselves how we're feeling because we don't want to know, because we're too busy to do anything about it anyway, trying to run to work and stuff. I always get up really early before I have to start work. I do that on purpose because I need to get myself, first of all, not all that healthy physically, and so I need to get myself awake before I start working or walking anywhere, because I have all kinds of body problems, physical problems with my body because of many reasons. The abuse that I suffered, as well as car accidents and things, takes me at least half an hour just to get moving. So that gives me time to reflect in the morning, and I do a lot of that. So how am I feeling? I feel a lot better than I did yesterday, actually. I would say quite a bit better. Safety checklist, I'm safe enough to do this. And what I want to look at, what we were talking about yesterday, I was looking at that I need to do breathing work, because my friend, a long time ago, she used to listen to my Blog Talk radio shows here when I was doing them back in 2009, 2010, 2011, and my good friend out of Australia. And she's worked with me and helped me get through a lot of my issues. And she's she's like a therapist, and she's just not a practicing therapist right now, but she is a therapist. She helped me out a lot. And she said, the one thing I noticed is that you don't breathe. She was telling me, this was a long time ago. And she's absolutely correct. I smoke a lot of cigarettes. I've been smoking since I was 12 years old. I've been smoking something since I was 12, So I've been smoking a long time. I don't breathe. I don't breathe properly. So I was thinking, I need to do breathing work. That's something I want to look into. So I did find a website that has some interesting information on it. And also I want to look into flashbacks, because yesterday I was talking about flashbacks. And because I've been putting this Born in Hell website together, and the information that I've been disclosing there, it's obviously, it's in my books. If anybody has read my books, or most of it I've talked about here on Blog Talk Radio through the years, just not as graphically. So I've gone through on my Born in Hell website and graphically, for public information, really put it out there what it is to be born into abuse, right? Born from birth, being abused from birth on upward through life, right? So, that's caused me a little bit of discomfort, and I wanted to look into flashback information, and so I got that there. We can look at that this morning. And I found a really Havoka, that is helping abuse victims overcome. Let me see, what does that stand for, actually? I'm not really sure. But they have a great website, and I will get you that information here, if I can find it. I think I actually have it here. Just give me 1 second. Havoka, HAVOCA.org. So www.HAV, like Victor V, OCA.org. There's all kinds of information on there for survivors. Really good info. They have forums, chat forums, first steps. You can go there. I had been looking at this website for years, but really didn't realize that the information there was as extensive as it is, because I was never looking on the left-hand column to look at the way they have their website set up. I was only looking at the top tabs, never looking at the side for some reason. Missed a whole bunch of information. There is some great information there. And they have an interesting thing called From Victim to Survivor to Thriver. So the 3 steps, from victim to survivor to thriver. And I want to look at that, because in my morning reflection, that's kind of like I'm, moving from victim to survivor to thriver, right? I'm obviously not a victim anymore, but I was a victim of childhood abuse of all types. I went to a survivor mode. Am I still in the survivor mode? Probably on most of it, some of it, maybe not all of it, but some of it, I'm still in a survivor mode, and then move to thriver, to somebody who's well, emotionally well, stable, doing good, healed from from a lot of the or most of the problems, right? So I thought we'd take a look at that because that's really interesting. The first part the very first one that they have there, the victim says the victim doesn't deserve nice things or trying for the good life, quote unquote. This is exactly their words here. And it says the survivor is struggling for reasons and a chance to heal, and the thriver then has gratitude for everything in life. And so moving from victim to survivor to thriver, somebody a victim doesn't who believes that they don't deserve anything nice, right? And or that trying for the good life, because the good life isn't possible. I was there. I was a victim, and I didn't believe that I deserved anything because my parents actually had drummed that into me, into all of my siblings and myself, that we didn't deserve anything. We didn't even deserve life, right? And so, why bother trying for the good life? I mean, our life was horrible. So, I get that. I know where, I know where people are in that. If you're still in that, there is hope, And the survivor is struggling for reasons and a chance to heal. So the survivor is making steps to, to realize, like, no, I do want to heal, and that's me. I've been somewhat of a survivor for a long, long time, probably since I became an adult at the age of about, I would say, 21, 22, because I decided to get off drugs, and I decided to try to do something with my life at that point, which I didn't make a whole lot of progress, and I never did any healing work because I didn't know that I was. So I knew that I was messed up, but I didn't know anything about adult survivor issues. I never really checked into it. I was just someone who was just living this life of, horrible stuff that my parents and my brother had put on me. I grew up in a dysfunctional neighborhood, actually, where a lot of my friends were being abused, and it was just life for us. That's the way we lived. So I didn't realize that I was going to have so many problems later in life. I knew I was going to have problems, but I didn't realize the depth and the issues that were going to come about because of it. So, I'm struggling for reasons and a chance to heal. That's what I'm doing right now. So part of it, I am still a survivor. As a thriver, gratitude for everything in life. And I mean, do I have days where I'm grateful for everything in life? I don't know. Some people may be able to say that's true because, everything happens for a reason, or, gratitude for everything in life. I don't think I'm very grateful for painful things in life. I'm not grateful for when somebody hurts me, And people still hurt people. People still hurt. I mean, I'll have people be rude to me and people be unkind, and in my adult life, and since I've been on my healing journey. Gratitude for everything in life. I don't know, for me, I don't know if that really works for me because I'm not grateful for the pain people put on me through the years, But I'm grateful for this opportunity at life. Because so often it could have been ended so many years ago as a child, had it been killed, during the abuse, right, which could have happened. And also then later as a young teen, doing a lot of drugs, I didn't take care of myself and could have died there. I mean, people, I am grateful to be here now, which I didn't used to be. So I'd say that's probably what I would say. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to help people out and to help myself out and to help my husband and just to live, as decent a life as I possibly can with the time that I have left. So I think that's interesting to look at. And so I want to move on, and we're just going to look at positive reinforcement. What am I doing right in my daily walk? Looking at the positives, progress that I've made and that I might be making, right? And looking at, instead of negative thoughts, right? Well, I think I'm doing pretty good because I'm actually working on getting organized. Doing this show helps. That's why I'm doing this, is accountability for me. So that I have to get up and do the things that I need to do, which include just my daily stuff. That includes having a shower. That includes, because I work from home, it's real easy for me to just to not do the things that I have to do, that I should be doing to take care of myself, right? And so, but what am I doing right in my daily walk? I think by just continuing to try to heal, that's one thing I'm doing right. Looking at the positives, progress made. I'm starting to get organized. So there has been some progress made in this just in the last couple of weeks. And so I'd say that's pretty good. And positive affirmations, I figured we looked yesterday at I'm a good person, right? And the next one is I'm made in God's image or my creator or higher power image, right? So I mean I believe in God, so I call him God, but other people might not, and you could say, well, I'm made in my creator's image or I'm made in my higher power's image, right? So I'm a good person and I'm made in God's image. Do I believe this? Absolutely, I do, and that gives me a sense of empowerment, actually, to believe that I could be made in the image of my Creator. I'm not the Creator. I'm made in His image, which really gives me a sense of. It makes me feel good because my parents rejected me, see, but my Creator did not reject me. I used to blame God for. I didn't used to blame Him for the abuse. I was angry at Him for allowing this to happen to me and my family, and things that happened to people around me. I was angry at God for many, many years. But that's, I talk a lot about that. My dad was a Christian and abused us, right? So I took it out on God, right? Took it out. I just blamed God, right? And now, of course, I've made peace with God, and I'm very thankful for that and very happy. It gives me a sense of peace to know that my Creator did not reject me, as my parents did, and that He knew the whole time. And here's what I started to picture and realize was that God was actually aware of what was going on, the abuse in my home from both my parents and my brothers actually abusing me. And I believe that God was crying because man makes their own choices. He was probably first of all crying for me, for the abuse, and my siblings for the abuse that we all suffered. And also I believe that God was crying for my parents because of what they were doing to us. And I think it breaks his heart, right? I see God differently now than I used to, and I see Him as love. And so, I'm a good person. I'm made in God's image. So that's helpful for me. I can take this through the day, and I can remember that, to me, what is God? I mean, who is God? God is light. God is truth. God is mercy. God is compassion. God is love and care and concern and empathy and everything that is good and everything that is true, everything that is light and love and peace and joy and righteousness, which really means, right thinking, right? He's not the evil one, right? Doing all this evil stuff, right? So if I'm made in God's image, then I need to carry myself like that and be full of love and light and peace and joy, and happiness and truth and goodness and mercy, compassion, having compassion for people, mercy, very important. And so this helps me get through the day. Self-care, what am I doing both physically, spiritually, and emotionally? All three of those really to take care of myself, right? What am I doing to help myself out? Physically, I'm actually getting ready to start doing some work here. I have a rower that I bought at Christmas time last year, and I've only used it twice. It sits right in front of me, but I'm busy working all the time or doing something else like smoking, or drinking coffee, or running around trying to help my husband because my husband's very sick, so I always have to run around and try to help him. So I'm busy here at the house doing my full-time job and running around helping my husband and looking after him. And so the only thing I want to do with my spare time, which is very little, is sit around and smoke and drink coffee, right? It's not very healthy. So I'm like, okay, I need to get on that rower. Well, I bought that rower at Christmas time. I've only been on it 3 times. I really need to get on that as part of my weekly getting some exercise, right? So that's what I'm going to be working on as far as the physical stuff goes, as well as self-care. Physically, what am I doing for, self-care for my body, right? Now, I was abused horrifically as a child. A lot of physical abuse and a lot of damage to my body and to my skin. So I don't take care of myself. I never have. I grew up hating my body. I hated what my parents did to my body. I never loved my skin, and I never loved my body, right? I have a real problem with that. So I have to remember to do the right things for myself. Put lotion on, just try to take care of my body physically, right? It's very difficult for me because my parents tried to destroy me, and one of my brothers sexually abused me. So then I basically was working on destroying myself, right? And I'm still working on this issue. This is an issue that will probably be with me for a long, long time until I get it figured out. And so I need to do some work on that, you know. And spiritually, I'm doing quite well. You know, I made a lot of progress in my spiritual healing. And emotionally, I'm still working on some things. So what can I do to work on this to help myself? First of all, I got to work on the physical, you know, being better to my body. I certainly didn't deserve to be abused. Neither did you. Neither does anyone, right? We didn't deserve that, you know. No one does. And so, you know, I need to care for myself, right? I can't expect somebody else to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. I need to care for myself. And as a woman, you know, I need to be good to myself and be kind to myself. Now, I don't self-injure and I don't cut or anything like that, and I don't, you know, make any more marks on my body than I already have, right? And problems with my body that I already have. I don't try to hurt myself, you know. I'm not self-injuring. But I don't do a whole lot towards being kind to my body, being good to it, being good to myself, right? I do a lot of damage. I smoke a lot, and I drink a lot of coffee because I really love that. And I don't get, and I eat too much. So I'm about at least 20, 30 pounds overweight at any given time. I actually carry it really well because I'm almost 5'8". Like I used to be 5'8". Now I'm kind of shrinking a little bit and getting older. Too many accidents, too many problems with my bones. But I used to be actually at one time was 5'8". And I'm quite tall, quite large. My mom was 5'11" and a half, almost 6 feet tall. My dad was 6'5", and all my siblings, except for my two sisters who were shorter than me, my brothers were all 6 feet or taller. And the girls in the family, because we were all born so sick, we all, for some reason, the girls just didn't get that tall. I'm the tallest of the girls in the family. And I had two sisters who were shorter than myself. And we all had problems with our weight, mainly because my mom's side of the family is heavy. My dad's side of the family is skinny. So we got some of that. We got some of each, some heavy, some skinny. I tend to want to lean towards the heavy side. So I need to drop at least 20, 30 pounds because my body cannot take the weight. My hip is damaged and injured. I don't want to have hip replacement surgery or any kind of screws put in right now. I can't afford to have surgery with my husband's health. So I need to drop some weight. So physically, you know, I need to work on that. Spiritually, I'm doing well. Emotionally, what can I do? Well, I thought about it. I need to start doing some more affirmations, and I need to start doing some more positive emotional care for myself, right? And Irving Studios, I went on their website. Irving Studios, that's a great website. He's got a lot of great information there. He's a survivor of abuse himself, and he's also now a therapist. He's a counselor, he's like a therapist, right? So if you go to www.irvingstudios, IRVING studios.com, he's got a child abuse survivor monument tab. If you click on that, it brings you all this information about for adult survivors, right? And there's information on grounding techniques, you know, boundaries, self-nurturing, right? The self-nurturing thing is where I want to start, and I want to start with soothing words, right? So he's got there, this is from his website, irvingstudios.com, Child Abuse Survivor Monument, Self-Nurture. He's got a thing where he says affirmations. He says you can make a tape of affirmations, have supportive people add messages for you, like this is something that we could do. Have a daily breadbasket of affirmations to read, hold, and carry with you. You know, just put some daily affirmations on a piece of paper, just carry it around and read them. And we could get a book of affirmations and carry it with us, right? A healing notebook. Put in affirmations, pictures, messages from friends that remind you that you are safe and not alone. And carry the notebook with you. I read this years ago, and I was actually looking at this years ago, and I thought that was a great idea. And journaling, you know, that's what he goes on to talk about, journaling, lucid dreaming and journaling. Use meditative and free writing techniques. Journaling is very important, and I do journal, actually. Self-talk. Tell yourself something that will remind you that you are okay. And this is to self-nurture. This is like, it's not just silly stuff, you know, this is affirmations to self-nurture. You know, I actually have had to do that. I've had to go through the years and over the years, you know, of my healing journey. I've had to sit down and say, you know what, I'm not being abused anymore. I'm not being abused anymore. I'm safe. You know, I had to remind myself because growing up, the whole time I grew up, I was not safe and I was not being looked after. And it was not a safe environment. So sometimes, I mean, I'll be sitting around having flashbacks, and I realize, like, I got to get grounded. I got to get do some grounding work, right? So through my life as a child being abused, I used to ground actually quite a bit, just to stay in the present and reality. And I used to count. I did a lot of counting. I'd count squares. I'd count whatever is the tile, whatever was in the tile, whatever's in the roof. And I spent years doing that throughout my whole childhood, and I actually continued that on into my adult life, and I actually do that all the time. So when I'm not grounded and I can't, and I'm starting to have a bit of a panic attack or some sort of a upset feelings because I'm having flashbacks or because remembering something that's very painful, I'll just look around the room and I'll pick out all the blue things, or if there's a bunch of geometric squares on the tile on the floor, I'll count those and multiply them. And I've been doing this forever, and I didn't even realize I was doing it as a coping mechanism. So there's all kinds of things that we can do to help ourselves out, right? He's got all kinds of stuff here. He's got stuff, coping lists, and we'll look at some of those, right? So I'm actually going to start with affirmations because soothing words, I really need to get back on that. And that's something that I think I need to work on. So I'm going to start with that. And also, there's a HAVOCA, HAVOCA, Survivor's Bill of Rights. As a matter of personal authority, you have the right, they say, to manage your life according to your own values and judgments. We have rights, We all have rights. We have human rights, and survivors have rights too. So HAVOCA's got a Survivor's Bill of Rights. It says, as a matter of personal authority, you have the right to manage your life according to your own values and judgment. And that's very important for people because, we're, as an abuse survivor, I had to live according, I was not allowed to be myself. I wasn't allowed to just, as a child, be a child. I wasn't allowed to be anything because I was just abused horrifically. So, I have to realize that I do have the right to manage my life according to my own values and judgment. And it's up to me how I want to live my life. That's why I decided I wanted to have a good life. I didn't want to end up in the gutter, from a drug overdose, dead somewhere like my brothers, or continuing on in this horrific situation of self-loathing and self-worthlessness. I wanted to have a good life and live according to my values and what I think is important. And have I done it? Absolutely. I've been on my healing journey 9 years, but since I left my abuser home and parents behind, I started to work on trying to get a good life for myself, right? And I realized it was really going to have to be me to do it because no one was going to be able to help me with that. I needed to get my life. And coming from abuse, it's very difficult, right? So I would say to reach out and get help, if you're having trouble and you just can't seem to do it, reach out because that's what I did. I thought I was going to make it until the age of 42. And then I had a breakdown, and I wanted to self-injure. Was contemplating suicide. So what I want to tell you is, if you're a survivor and you're listening to this, get some help. Reach out. That's what I did. I don't trust people, so I went anonymous. I got anonymous help, and then eventually got some therapy type stuff through a couple of friends of mine in Australia. But it's just important to reach out. I started to reach out and realized there was a lot of people. As soon as I started reaching out, all these hands started coming back to me, and that's how important it is. Really, you have to get help, right? And so, personal bill of rights. Also, this is we have about a minute left. Charles H. Whitfield. I have numerous choices in my life beyond mere survival, and I really like that. So I have numerous choices in my life beyond mere survival. I can have a good life, right? And that's what I'm hoping for you too. And so we've got about a minute left. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning into my shows. If you're struggling and having a hard time, I always tell people this on all my shows. Get help. Make a phone call if you're struggling. I would be one of these people sitting on the crisis lines, trying to help people because I know where they've been. But I can't do that right now because my husband's terminally ill, and they will not allow me to sit on a crisis line because of this situation, right? And so it's people like me sitting on the other side, right? And they do care, and they do want to. They're there for you. So if you're struggling and you're having a hard time, you make a phone call. And if you don't know anybody around you that you can trust, and you don't have anybody in your life that you can trust, because I know so often survivors of abuse, that's just the way it is for us, right? And then you need to call a crisis line. And I'm telling you, please listen to me, because I'm here because I made the choice to stay here. And that's what I want for you, right? So thanks everybody for being here with me. I appreciate it. I just wish you a beautiful day. Take care, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.